So here's a quick tutorial on several things I've noticed in regards to stills and videos that are being handled correctly. So first of all, we're going to create this empty playlist. You can ignore this. You want to always have a document in here. So I'm going to do, you want to always create a slide as a document. Now, if you have an existing thing like a sermon or something, you can add it to that document. What we're going to do is assume you don't have a document. We're going to add the graphics to it. So you're going to have less banks than this. So whichever bank gets picked is the one you want to use by default. And I'm trying to not have computers with multiple banks. So you're going to go new presentation and you're going to give it a name. So we're going to call this join our family announcement. And for a graphic that's only a graphic without any text on it, it almost doesn't matter which template you pick. So I'm just going to pick this one that says video template. And I'm going to create, and you can automatically add it to which library you want here. This, for all the rooms we have on campus, this should be the size you want. And then for playlist, you can actually add it to a playlist you've already created automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and I've made a tutorial playlist and I'm going to click new. All right, so there's now a graphic here. I've already got a window open with the right graphic. So you could just drag this graphic from here to here. Here's the problem with that. Is then it's really hard later if you want to delete this graphic because you don't have access to it. So I highly recommend that you always add graphics, especially if they're temporary, to this media bin. So click media and you have all of these folders here. And most of the ProPresenter computers have groups already made. So I have a group already made called announcement slides and video, and I have a group called temp announcements. So these are all the graphics in temp announcements. I like to scroll all the way to the bottom, go back to the computer finder and drag the video or still here into this bin. So if it's a video and it's on the network, it might, or on OneDrive, it might take a lot longer to load because it's having to download the video from OneDrive. So give it some time. But the reason why I like to do it this way is later, once this announcement is no longer valid, I can right click on this video or still and click delete. And then what you want to do is if you want to permanently delete it, especially if it's a video because it takes up a lot of room, you're going to click move to trash. And then you see the file is gone. It also has deleted the file from the folder that ProPresenter uses. So we're going to go ahead and put it back. All right. The other thing you want to check always is if this is a graphic that's meant to be the only graphic and not a background, you always want to right click and double check that this is set to foreground, not background. Background is for if you want it to be like a song background or a background behind text and such. Scale to fit means it'll keep the right shape but make it fill the whole frame as best it can. So if it's a square or vertical graphic, you'll have black on the sides, but it won't distort the picture. Scale to fill means it'll keep the right shape, but it'll make the picture bigger than the screen. So if it's a tall picture or a square picture, when you use this scale to fill, it'll lose the bottom and top of the picture above and below the screen. And stretch to fill will, no matter what shape the picture is, it'll make it fill the entire screen, even if it's distorting the picture. I highly recommend you scale to fit almost all the time, unless it's a background texture, which doesn't matter, then you can do stretch to fill. It's also important that if you can create the graphics of the right size in the first place, which is 1920 pixels wide by 1080 high. That's 1920 by 1080. That is the standard size we use for all graphics and videos here at New Hope. All right, so I've done that. And then you grab this picture and add it to the slide. And now when you click it, it will come up. Now, the reason why I like to do this is if we do another event later, like let's say we do, we're going to do a new playlist and call this, January 1 service, right? You don't have to recreate this slide later. You can just click search and search for join our family. And there's the join our family announcer graphic, and you add it to your playlist. You don't have to go hunt for it down here. It's nicely named in your bin, in your library to find it. So that's very important. But this isn't always the way you want to do it. The other way to do it sometimes is make one document here that just says announcements, and then you add and remove announcements to that document as the time allows. So that's how you do stills. For videos, it's pretty much the same thing. I want to show you one little quick. So we're going to create a new presentation. We're going to call it video temp. And we're going to add it to the tutorial playlist. And we're going to pick this same video template. And we want the tutorial library and the playlist. So click new. All right. So you want to, this is an announcement videos folder I've already added. So again, just as before, you want to check some settings after the video is in the bin. You can right click on this and make sure it's set to foreground or background, scale to fit. And then this is another important thing to check what the playback behavior is. Stop, loop, loop for play count, loop for time. So stop means it'll play the video all the way through once, and then it'll just stop. And then when it gets to the end of the video, this is what it will do. You can also set it to automatically fade to black if the video doesn't fade to black on its own, and so on and so forth. Or loop if it's a background slide. So if you set this, say you're in a backgrounds folder, and you set this to be, these are all still backgrounds. Here's a video. So if you set this to loop, then anytime you use this background on anything, it'll automatically loop every time you use it, as opposed to having to change it every time you add it. So we're going to go back to announcement videos, and we're going to drag this saturate final promo up here. And now the video is there. And if you right click on this again, you can check media action behavior is set to foreground. Okay. Now, another thing you can do is either from down here or from up here, you can go to inspector and check some settings. So the thing you might use most often is, say you want to use a video, but you don't want the sound for some reason. You can go in here to this little waveform icon and just mute. So it's channel 1 and 2 is left and right. So you can mute these. Also, if you're using a video that is cut odd and there isn't a nice fade, you can actually ramp the audio, fade the audio in and out automatically at the beginning and end of the video right here by ramp in and ramp out. And then if the video is too loud or too soft, say you're playing more than one video on the same day and you want them to kind of sound about the same volume, you can set this volume up or down to all the way to +6 or anywhere up to -60 to get other videos you're playing to sound as close to the same as possible. And then when you play the video, it'll play. All right. So that is videos and slides in a nutshell. But the reason why you always want to create a document and then put the video in it is you don't have access to all of those settings if you just drag a video from the computer to the playlist like this. See? So if your icon is like this and it's like this, then you've just dragged the video or still to ProPresenter. You want to really avoid that at all possible. It's just a lot more function if you add it to a document.